And hello, everybody. You're live Monday night with Sherry Shriner. It's December 24th. And it's been an interesting week. I'll tell you that much. I don't know if I'm going to get into a lot of questions tonight, but you can still send them to SherryTalkRadio@yahoo.com if you have questions. I might get into those. I might just reserve a week, maybe next week, and just go through questions that have been sitting in my inbox that I haven't gotten to the last couple of weeks, because I've been involved with the study on the book of Revelations. Lord's had me in it probably for about a month or so now, and just a book I've been in since I was 12 years old. You know, just in and out, in and out, in and out. I've read this book 100 times, you know, more than that, probably about 1,000. The Bible itself from cover to cover, eons, many, many times. And I don't know how many believers I ran into every day or talked to every day, and have never even read the Bible from cover to cover one time. Have never read it. And it just blows me away, because as much time as we spend on earth doing other things, at least you should get to know, take some time to get to know someone that most of you claim you love and worship, but you don't bother to read any of his stuff, any of his books, but you've probably read 100 or 1,000 at a library. So it's mind-boggling. And one of the things I think it's so important to know what it says is not only so that you can recognize deception, is that so you can recognize deception. You know, I don't know how many times I hear from people that, you know, always have their 2 cents to say about something and have never read the whole Bible themselves, you know. Or they can't refute Paul because they've never read the apostles. They've never read just the Lord himself, and so Paul to them sounds like a good guy. They're going to love the Antichrist, you know. Deal with Satan's minions on the internet all the time, and not something I talk a lot about on this show, but I bring it up on occasion, usually when I need a good laugh, because that's basically all it is. But I've warned you before that they're very good. That they're very, very good at twisting Scripture. They love to quote parts of it and leave other parts out, pretty much like today's pastors do. And everybody goes to sleep, and they hear something good at the beginning. Oh, that's in the Bible. I've heard that before. I know where that is. But then they don't recognize the cutoff point where they've stopped speaking and started adding in garbage, or they're cutting chapters in half, verses in half. And they're masters at this. Satan is a master at deception. He's a master at lies. He's a master at manipulating and twisting. And I get emails from Sananda, from Maitreya, from their minions, and they're good. They're just, you know, I don't even get into diatribes with these beings. I just ignore them half the time, because there's no point. They're not going to admit they're wrong. They're going to burn in hell. They're going to be thrown in the lake of fire. They're not going to admit it. And so why bother getting into a conversation with these beings? You know, and so I don't. But the war is on. The war goes on, you know. It's a daily war. The Lord's people against Satan's people. For some of you that realize it's a war. For some of you that awake, and there's not that many of you. And it's coming to a head, folks. I have felt in my spirit all week long that we are starting to really get a huge demonic infestation on this earth. I don't know if it's starting now or if it's something that's coming. You know, I wrote an article a year or two back, The Silent Invasion Has Begun. And it has been taking place over a period of time. But we're just going to, one of these days, you know, everybody is so busy watching politics, and that's how they monitor Bible prophecy, is by watching the politics. And I find it interesting that the Lord hardly ever has me even bothering watching the politics. You know, one eye on it, one eye off. Not even a whole eye on it, because I really don't spend a lot of time keeping up to date on every nitpick thing our government's doing. I can catch that reading somebody else's articles on the internet or whatever. I don't spend any time on TV watching it. I don't spend a whole lot of time watching TV at all. It's usually just background noise if it's on. But while everybody's watching politics, there's just so many other things happening through other doors, other doorways. Satan's going to walk through the back door as much as he can before he has to hit the front. And it reminds me of that movie, They Live, where all of a sudden the veil's lifted and people start seeing reptilians and alien beings on television and in person and in stores, and it's kind of like a Orwell kind of nightmare, people freaking out. I really see that kind of thing happening just all at once because how do you prepare an entire Earth's population of about 6-7 billion people that all of your elected government officials are reptilian alien beings, that most of the people in the news business, the entertainment business, the music business are soul-scalped alien beings? How do you prepare a mankind for that? And frankly, you don't. I don't think that they even can get a handle on it. There's more of us than there is them. And so that's why I think we're going to have a lot of chaos and a lot of destruction on Earth and a lot of civil wars on Earth, because mankind's going to fight back against these beings. And from what I've been studying in Revelation, and I made this comment last week, I'm going to make it again, the more you know what to look for, then every time you turn around, you're going to see an alien invasion in the Bible, once you know what to look for. And it's opened my eyes because I just see it all the time. If you just realize that all these alien beings that we see in the sky and space above us now and UFOs, they're just fallen angels. You know, there's different races of them. There's probably maybe 200-300 different kinds. But they're all just fallen angels, and they've been crossbred upon crossbred, you know, over the centuries and years, just as they've tried to do from the beginning, which is what got Satan in trouble to begin with. His rebellion against the Lord, I can become like God. He wanted to be worshipped as God, and it goes a lot further than that. I mean, he wasn't just boasting he could become like God. He was literally trying to be God. He was trying to create his own earth, his own humans, his own animals. And that's why you have the missing link between the caveman and the human, is because they weren't created by the same person. The cavemen and Neanderthals and the periods of cave things before then were Satan's attempt at creating man. And so they're not created. The Lord's blueprint, 11:33:22, which is a blueprint of a human, Satan could never duplicate. And you have the 33 vertebrae, and I can't remember what the 11:22 is. I think it's muscles and something else, muscles of the mind, or I'll have to get that out. It's one of my previous articles. I've talked about this before. But those are the numbers. The blueprint of mankind is 11:33 and 22. And Satan can't duplicate it, but he's tried to take animals and crossbreed his own animals, and that's why he ended up with the mermaid and the unicorn and all these mythological animals. They really did exist at one time. Actually, the word mythology is just another term for history. People think it means fiction, it means fake, and that's not what it means at all. It's history. It's Greek, it's history. But mankind's been snowed over into not really understanding what our history is, so that we don't understand what our future is that's coming. And that's one of the things the Lord has always said to me, is that if you want to know what's coming in the future, you have to understand